Okay, so what's gonna happen is I'm just gonna throw out some things at you that are homeschool pet peeves, and y'all can discuss.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. Your non-homeschooled church friends.
Oh no. That was such a strong reaction from both of us. Not the deep sigh. It's like, oh god. It was like staring into the middle distance for a second. Like, oh god. I had very specific problems. Which were,
Watch them be the same though.
mine were very, very specific. So some of it was I'm homeschooled, and so I was there
Right.
all the time. My dad was a deacon, and I was at church every day.
It was twice a week.
Every day.
Okay,
times
I've
max.
got to pause this right now. See, that's
Okay.
what I thought was about to happen.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay,
so
so we're talking about
homeschool, non-homeschool friends
our
at church.
non-homeschool church friends.
Yeah. Or just, friends at any function, not just church, right? Or are we specifically talking about church?
It really is non-homeschooled friends, but because, like Miss Jordan said, we were there every day. They kind of stood out. But you were there
That's
3 days
fair.
a week.
Well, we had theater. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me hear about your experiences first.
So my thing with church friends was very strange.
Make sure to look at the camera.
Yes, I was talking to my mother.
Yeah, you should sit right here.
Just there you go. There you go. Now I can look at you and not look directly into the lens like a maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're still here?
You're still here? It's over. Go home.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, okay. I was like, who's over there that you're talking to?
Camera.
Okay. I was like,
Man,
I was like,
we are unhinged today.
neither of us have the spoons or the attention span.
Your non-homeschool church friends.
Oh,
what were they?
yes. So I was there all the time. I think I was kind of the weird kid at church.
You think?
Yeah.
It was a weird kid in school.
Maybe
I
a
was the
little.
weird kid general, but that's an ADHD problem more than anything else. I don't know. There were lots of cliques in my.
Aren't there just always cliques in general?
Yeah, there were so many, and I wasn't really in any of them. Everyone tolerated me more or less, but they were sort of like, "You're strange," and I was like, "I mean,
Yeah.
correct, but also rude."
At least I have a personality.
Right? I was like, you didn't have to be rude about it. You're right, but like you didn't have to be mean. But so like I was like always included in everything, but then I'd be there and everybody it just would be like, yes, us and Jordan.
Yeah.
I was like, and Jordan is
Yeah.
also here, and I'm like, you didn't have to invite me. It's okay.
Like, I could have just stayed home.
Like I didn't want to listen to Justin Bieber on loop on the way to Jordan's birthday. There was another Jordan. And then she invited me to every birthday because I was specifically one-on-one friends with her. She was the pastor's daughter.
Oh gosh.
So with both of us just hanging out in church all day. Both of us, Jordan. She was so tall.
Oh no.
And we were just like, Jordan was like, the Jordans. We were like, yes, what can we do for you?
That was my sister. There was another Hannah.
And it's like, we're learning
There
to...
were two.
We're just us in the background learning to double dutch because what else were we going to do?
Right.
Like no third person there because Jackson wasn't participating, so we like tie one end to like a chair and like try to teach ourselves to do things. We were so bored. But so she would like invite me to all of the things, and she was like the popular girl at church.
Right.
And so everybody else would be like, us, and then Jordan is also here. And I'm like, yes, I am also present. And that was just kind of the way I was in that community. Like, everybody knew me. Everybody was, yeah. Nobody was, like, mad I was around. They were just sort of like, oh. And you.
Just
But
like, what do we do with that? That's an alien, because homeschoolers aren't real, right?
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Homeschooled kids are freaks.
No, it's like, they would talk about things. And I'm like, I do not connect with this conversation at
Yeah,
all.
legitimately.
I'm just going to be here in the corners quietly.
Well, like the name brands of clothing and stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Where like kids were like, I got this at the Gap, and I'd be like,
And I was like, I think a lot of my clothes are mud, but like I don't know.
Yeah. My friends would be like, but did you know this about Zac Efron? And like they're super obsessed with High School Musical, and I'd be like, did you know there were specifically 935 casualties? I'm pretty sure, it's been a long time. But anyway, I would like give the specific number of casualties in the Battle of Cowpens in the Revolutionary War, and be like, that's a cool fact, and they'd be like,
that was not the same conversation we were having. And I was like,
bye.
Is it not? Okay, my bad.
I thought we were sharing interesting facts that we know. Like...
Yeah, no, I think I got away with being weird because I was talented. And so they were
Same.
like, yeah,
Same.
pretty much.
I didn't know this, okay? This was really funny. This was actually in high school, which I need to just go ahead and say. Elementary and middle school to high school experiences for me were drastically different.
1,000%.
Because we went through a massive community-wide shift. So, like, earlier experiences were super toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And the church we were at was super toxic. And then, like, once I got towards high school, I was in a much better environment. So it's two very different experiences. I had one that was very hostile towards homeschoolers, and one that was very accepting and inviting towards homeschoolers.
I don't think they had, like, any strong opinions about homeschoolers or homeschooling, per se.
Oh, yeah, no. When I was in elementary school and kindergarten, straight up hostile.
So they told you about it.
Question is, do you want me to say what their opinion was?
Sure, I did.
They thought it was amazing. They wanted me to take all their kids home with me and teach them.
And
I refused.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if I had friends younger, my brain's trying to say college, church, younger, what's younger college? And young, like, when I was
Dual
like,
enrollment?
I guess, elementary to middle school, I would end up with, like, friends with, like, one family at a time.
Yeah.
And I would just sort of hang out with them all the time.
Yeah.
Because, like, I had, like, a group of, like, 3 sisters who were my friends from, like, early, middle school before they left. Man, they had terrible asthma. The amount of times I saw those girls almost die, truly. The things I know about how to keep someone alive through asthma.
My sister has that, that's why.
Man.
Okay, just when I say my sister, understand that I have 3 of them. So you'll never know which one I'm talking about.
I'm just saying a can of Coca-Cola does a lot for asthma.
It's true.
Weird.
It is.
That's
Asthma
strange.
is weird.
I was, like, the amount of time someone's wheezing mid-mall is like, get a can of Coke. And it functioned. And we're just like, okay. Now every time someone has like an asthma attack, I'm like, here you go. And someone's like, why would you? And I was like, don't worry about it. I have a lot of back knowledge that is strangely applicable to this situation. No, I don't have
Isn't
asthma.
that part of being homeschooled, though? You have a lot of back knowledge that is strangely applicable.
I just have experiences of things that don't matter 90% of the time. And then that last 10%, everyone's like, why do you know so much about this? And I was like,
because it was interesting.
It was interesting.
Because I was self-learning, and I figured
all
this
out. Or it
out.
was just, like, strangely applicable at one small chunk of my life for some reason.
And I just remembered that specifically.
Yep. It was like,
So, for me, the experience of I actually had so many different ones. Because being an extrovert, I made a lot of friends.
I'm also very introverted.
I made a ton of friends. Yeah, so you were probably okay to be left to your own devices a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was not. I desperately wanted to be, like, in the crowd.
I want to be where the people are.
It wasn't necessarily, like, a desire to fit in. I was perfectly content to be weird and be my own entity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very comfortable in my own skin. Like, I did not deal with many insecurities until, like, high school. But, like, I was always just doing my own thing and so happy to be doing it. But, like, I wanted people to be with me. Mm-hmm. So the cliques definitely affected me a lot more. And I had a lot of, like, really honestly awful experiences with, like, younger girls.
Yes.
Because, like, seriously, these girls treated me so poorly. Like, so poorly. Just because I wasn't into the same things they were.
It's just like a weird snideness of, like, elementary, middle school girls when you cannot relate to the thing that they want to talk about.
Well, and there was this really odd dynamic going on at the church we were at. Happened to be very toxic because I didn't know until I was much older, and my parents told me they were dealing with the exact same kind of issues as adults that I was dealing with from the children. So, like, the parents were teaching their kids that this is your societal standard. And, like, it was almost like getting stuck into kind of like a class system. Because, like,
we had that.
People literally heard that we were homeschooled and assumed that we, like, ran barefoot in clothes that were rattied out and that our mom didn't take care of us. And, like, when that's completely untrue. Like, they were like, you live out of a trailer then, right? Because you're homeschooled. I'm like, no.
I know what you're thinking. Homeschooled kids are freaks.
Like, we have money. Like, my dad supports us. Like, just we just educate at home. Like, why are you assuming all of these horrible things? So yeah, girls would really make fun of me for that, and then they would emulate like their parents' behavior.
Yeah.
And then treat me differently just because I didn't have like name brand clothes or have like a Gucci bag or like. I'm dead serious. Like, I was literally treated this way because I wasn't into High School Musical. I liked Marvel Comics. I liked Minecraft. Like, I liked very tomboyish things, even though I'm a very girly personality, because I was like, I'm into storytelling and intelligence things. And, like, all the other girls would just be like, we are not having anything to do with that. So most of my friends were guys, and then that was super fun.
I was like, no, that would cause a different problem.
Oh, yeah, it did. It caused... Because, like, okay... This was back when a lot of, like, younger kids didn't know what The Legend of Zelda was. Like, they did not in the church that I went to. It was all sports and very preppy.
I'm trying to, like, even remember what they were into.
If you can remember a time before Big Bang Theory made being a nerd cool.
Yeah.
Okay? Back when D&D was considered demonic. I'm sorry. Some of y'all are going to have to stretch your brains for this conversation. Bear with me. But, like... This was at a time when, like, that was still very much a norm for these people because they were kind of stuck, like, a decade in the past. And so the fact that my family was into theater, role-playing, like, video games, like Dungeons and Dragons, like, people legitimately came up to me and were like, so hail Satan? And I'm like, yeah, no.
I didn't have that problem.
Or... if I was friends with guys, I would bring up Zelda, and the girls would be like, yeah, not having nothing to do with that, because they'd be like, video games, ew. And I'd be like, yeah, I love The Legend of Zelda, so I made way too many guy friends. And I played Super Smash Brothers, which also, I one time made the mistake of, like, bringing it to church because there was a Wii at church.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, it was awesome.
See, we would have had a good time.
No, here's what's not great about it. This was about, like, 8th grade that I did this, and this was when we got into the more healthy church. So fast forward, I'm no longer with the cliquey girls who like literally mortified me, and some of them legitimately told like a guy that I had a crush on that I liked him, and then none of them talked to me for like a whole year. Like literally none of them, like the whole youth group just would not acknowledge me for literally yeah, I'm telling you, it was so toxic. So we got out of that. And then we went to a church that was much more like homeschool friendly, where I actually found friends who I could relate to and people who were like in touch with reality. And I brought Smash Bros to church one day because there was a Wii there, and I pulled it out of my backpack, and this was the mistake. I was like, who wants to play Super Smash Bros? And then every single guy in the youth group then had a crush on me.
No.
And I was oblivious. I mean, I was completely oblivious. Like, I had no idea. I was just like, this is a cool game that I play. Friends are cool. And the drama that proceeded to happen for the next, like, 3 years. Because from that day forward, they were like, whoa, it's a chick who likes video games. Wait a minute.
Oh, I was raised by my brother and my cousins, so I grew up playing video games.
Right?
So I was like, I don't think anyone was, like, ever like, ew, you play video games to me. I don't even know what their interests were.
Right.
Honest to God. I cannot think back and pinpoint an interest that I was not communicating properly. I'd be like, here's a fun fact about nothing important. And they'd be like, I was like, oh, I thought we were just saying stuff. Okay, no. Never mind. My bad. Why do y'all bring me to these things?
Yeah.
It's weird that you keep including me to look at me sideways.
It's true.
I didn't have, like, a one-on-one, I never had the problems individually with people. But the second it was a group, everyone's like, so now here's the hierarchy. Jordan screams at the top because she's the pastor's daughter. I am too important to exclude because my dad's important in the church.
Oh, yikes.
So that's the reason I was always there. I'm too important to exclude. Oh. And Jordan and I were actually friends. So she didn't talk to me a lot in groups, but on a one, we were actually friends.
Wow.
So I was just always, so you've invited me so we could do nothing interesting, and you can half ignore me this entire time. Every once in a while, someone would like look at me and say something, and I guess I would answer incorrect, and everyone would just be like,
Yeah.
anyways, and I'm like, why do you keep talking to me?
Yeah.
I feel worse knowing that I'm doing this wrong than I would have felt if you just didn't include me at all.
Yeah.
I don't technically want to be here anyway.
Well, and I think that's actually something else to note with that, because I do feel like there's a little bit of a different experience, because there's a slight generational gap, however small it is.
Yeah.
Because my oldest sister, it sounds like she's had more experiences like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Because-
when social media hit and everyone had cell phones, there was a massive shift. Like a massive shift.
Oh, I also was one of the first ones with the cell phones.
Right. We all had smartphones by the time I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that made a big difference on what went down at church, let me tell you. Like, it just did. Because people were constantly on their phones. They were on social media. Like, kids were doing things they did not need to be doing. And, like, I was seen as, like, the goody-goody, like, trying to keep everybody straight, you know? And they were like, oh, it's because you're homeschooled. Like, you think you're better than us. I was like, no. I just don't hold my tongue or have any tact when I think you're making poor choices. And I would tell absolutely everyone exactly what I thought.
Now, my brother and I
that
were...
was my problem.
My brother and I were a lot like that.
And apparently, if you're in public school or, like, private school, you don't do that.
There's a thing when you are socialized by
Yes.
other children where I guess socially is a plus for them.
Yeah.
That they learn when to shut up, I guess.
I don't know, though, because a lot of the people I knew don't know, like, how to speak their minds to this day.
Yeah, again, they learn when to shut up as a self-preservation tactic.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
It's not.
But it is better socially, per se. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
but then
think
you wind up with friends that don't
people
actually...
have wild friend groups. I was like, y'all
Yeah.
don't like each other.
Exactly.
And I'm confused.
Yeah.
So, like, practically, I think we're better off.
I think so.
But, like, the way socially things are supposed to function, I don't think we're doing it very incorrectly. Like, I hang out with, like, 5 people on a regular basis, and I'm good.
Right.
I was like, nah, I don't like most people, honestly. This is
That was
fine.
another thing that was wild to me. I literally had no idea that I was popular. But apparently I was popular.
I was never popular.
So here's the reason.
That's for sure.
Remember that thing I told you about the absurd confidence that I had? Like, because I just did not even care. Like, I did not give any... Like, I just didn't care. I did not. I was like, I'm me, and that's cool, because I love being me. Either like it or don't. And people really apparently admire that in a person.
No, I got the opposite, because I was a lot like that, but no, everybody hated that. They were like, Jordan can pretty much do whatever she wants because she is good at things and confident enough to do it, but we're all going to resent you for it.
No, people just
Actively.
decided that they loved me for some reason. And then I was like, I somehow got onto like the prayer team and was super involved in the church and was like an honorary intern even though I wasn't in college.
I don't feel like I was very involved in the church at any point.
I got super involved. Granted, okay, we went to a church that hyper-focused on youth.
Mine did before I got to youth group.
Yeah, no.
And then ours
church
crumbled right as I got to the age group.
There was a leadership model, and this was one of the huge parts about socialization for me. And I know this is a really long answer, but like there's a lot of nuanced detail to these questions.
Yeah.
Because people are going to have different experiences. And for me, church was an integral part of my socialization, yes, but also of my life skills and experience. Because our high school program for Wednesday nights, high schoolers were expected to lead a small group of middle schoolers.
Oh, no.
So, like, it was a tiered system. So, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was fantastic for me. Because they wanted to teach you leadership and how to pour into others at an early age. So, like, adults would be involved. So, here's how it would work. You would have a high school program on Sunday mornings. And the church would all be learning the same thing. The parents would be learning the same thing that the kids were learning. The curriculum all matched up. So that the families would talk at home. It encouraged conversation when everyone was learning about the same stuff. So we would learn from the adults in our own small groups. And we had a small group that supported us of high school and adults that we could talk to and be poured into. So those adults poured into us, and then on Wednesday nights, usually whoever was in your adult small group would also be involved in the small groups on Wednesdays, and you would have an adult present, but then the high schoolers were expected to facilitate the conversation, and they were trained through this leadership program to pour into the kids so that they would have the life skills to be able to disciple other people, to teach other people, and also when you're teaching, you learn what you really believe.
That's
you know?
fair.
And so it encouraged them to go home, do their own research, and to really get into the word and get grounded to become like really strong leaders out into the world. Did it work for everyone? No. There were a lot of kids that slipped through the cracks because there were some kids who weren't cut out for leadership like that, you know? And like, you're not gonna always be. And it's not a fantastic model for some people. Were there issues with it? Absolutely. But for my specific needs, it was the perfect environment. Because I'm a strong leader. I'm a strong kind of person who wants to take charge of situations. So being in leadership was huge for me. And that's honestly how I learned as much as I did. And became such like a strong, confident person in my beliefs. You know, that's when it really happened for me. Was when I realized, whoa. People look up to me. People are watching my every move. Like, it's up to me to display someone like who's being like, as leaders you have influence and people watch no matter what you do. So like it's good to become a leader, to be a good model when you know that people are looking up to that. And I also had a lot of young cousins and children in my life, so it just really catered to me specifically.
Yeah.
So and it's definitely not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody.
I feel like I specifically wouldn't have enjoyed that very much.
That's fair.
Which I don't seem extremely introverted to most people.
You can be introverted and be an outgoing personality.
Yeah, like I'm very good at engaging. I am not particularly happy to do so most of the time, unless I'm comfortable with the people I'm around.
Family gatherings. The aunts and uncles.
Did they care?
Who didn't, like, what did they say to you?
Oh, that's right. They would quiz me randomly.
That's wild.
My family is very, what is the word I'm looking for? Jamaican, yeah. Intense. They would have quizzed me if I was in normal school.
That's actually, that right there is the reason why we chose homeschool. I mean, that's the reason why. Because, like, family wasn't an easy subject. And so when we found the people in an organization who cared and were willing to support us, that became my family. And I feel like that's really important to bring up, because without those people who stepped in and were like, no, we're going to do homeschool together, you know? And I had some family members who actually homeschooled with us for a while, but we just kind of fell out of touch because I come from a really big family. And my chosen family was more there for me, you know?
This is my family. I found it all on my own. It's little and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
But that's why homeschool organizations and communities became so important to us. Because without something like this, we didn't have a family. We didn't have a support group. I mean, my mom did it on her own for a long time, and that was extremely challenging, you know, and I admire her for what she did, because she's an incredible woman for taking that on and doing that like the way that she did. So sorry, I just felt like it was important to say that.
As far as our family goes, it's hard to remember because my coping mechanism is nothing bad happened here. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. What are you talking about?
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
Like, second the bad thing is over, my brain goes, delete. I don't need that information.
Mine is like, let's overshare. Everything's wrong. Want to hear more?
My brain goes, nothing happened. And I'm like, cool. I don't remember. It's gone. My cousins were never particularly a problem. I was very close to my cousins.
I love that for you.
We had a lot of cousins. I think I am
felt that.
one of 12, 11 on daddy's side. And that's just on dad's side.
We're close to any of your other cousins.
No, we were not close to mom's side, but that was on purpose.
I'm just not going to get into numbers because we lost count at some point.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm not joking.
no, I know you're not joking. Hermits are very specific. So our last name is Hermit, and we take that seriously. We don't like other people. We don't. Like, and if we do, we just sort of include you in the family. It's like you're a family or you're nothing.
Yikes.
That's the dynamic there. In my larger family, you either belong to us or do not speak to me.
FYI, you belong to us now.
Yes. Hello.
I don't know whether to be endeared or scared.
A little bit.
Both. But yeah, no, them's the rules. If I have a friend close enough that you're gonna stay around, well, that's just my extra sister now.
That's it. I think that might just be like a homeschool thing, though.
Because
That's literally what it was like for me. Now, we weren't as like reserved about it. It wasn't like you're either family or don't talk to me. It wasn't so much that.
Yeah.
But it was every single person we meet is a potential family member.
homeschooling encourages it because you're like, I only know so many people.
Well, and you literally have to do life together.
Yeah.
Because homeschool is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, like, once
like
you're in, you're
homeschooling
in.
definitely encouraged it, but hermits very specifically. This goes back to my grandparents.
Oh, my goodness.
My dad's friends from high school are my aunts and uncles. Have I seen them very often? No, but I know who Uncle Ferdinand is.
Yeah. Straight up.
I was like, people show up, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna put Uncle in front of it just in case.
Yes.
We
did that. We did
like
a lot
at
of
my
that.
grandparents' funerals. Everyone sort of there was a lot of talk of, and that was my mom. I was like, and that was I showed up at the house, and that was my mom. Now.
Yeah.
People were just sleeping in your bed when you got home.
Yeah. No.
Which I'm glad other people
You could just
feel this experience.
You could just put a sign over the doorway that says "Home for Wayward Children."
Yeah, I'm glad other people feel this experience, but very specifically, hermits are like, either we like you and you are ours now, or do not even look at me.
You just took it to like the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
That's I received that. I see that.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting off track. I was going somewhere with it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my cousins were never the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little bad for my youngest cousins because they're so much younger than the rest of us that they didn't get the same experience. It's a little sad because my youngest cousin that was born in part of the main group of cousins is
Right.
now 22. He's 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And then the last two, well, my youngest uncle had when he was older, and they're like, the oldest one's 14.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's a big
so
age gap.
me and my cousins in the same age group, which is all 2 to 4 years apart, if not the exact same age, we were running around together constantly.
Yeah. Did not have that.
Yeah, so they were not the problem. My aunts and uncles are Caribbean and mean.
Oh boy.
Not hating on Caribbeans, obviously I am one. But if you're Caribbean and you know it, we're mean. A friend of mine had a friend who was having a wedding, who was getting married to somebody from Trinidad, and she told me about the wedding. I was like, save this girl now. What do you mean you're having a low-key wedding?
Uh-oh.
Those aunts are going to talk about her to her face.
Is that how that goes?
Yes.
Wow.
I think like my grandmother had a friend who was over for like a thing, and she was I'm a thicker person generally, and she was like, must be a pregnant.
Just like,
And out loud, and I was like, and my grandmother did almost beat her
so
up.
I imagine that when it comes to homeschooling, this was no different.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they were just sort of like, what did you do today? And I'd be like, so this is what my day was like, and I did math, and they were like, and then they'd be like, what's this times this? I'm like, look, And I would like have to like answer like a bunch of random questions. Never like questions that made sense. They would just come out from like the sidelines and be like, this 5th grade history question. I'm like, I don't know. I was playing Grand Theft Auto. Literally, we were putting in cheat codes and setting things on fire. I'm not thinking about that right now.
See, I had the opposite problem because I would go up to my family and I'd be like, so, the Revolutionary War. And they'd be like, when is she going to stop talking?
When I did do that, they would just be like, she's weird.
No, my family would be like, this is why they need to be in public school. You're not socializing them enough. Look at her. She's practically starved for attention. She's talking too much. Put her in school.
They
remember that?
They did think, they did think. I do talk too much. That is a fact. That's just true. If I'm comfortable, I'm gonna be talking. And they were like, see, she talks too much. Attention starved. And I was like, no.
No, this is just me.
No.
Have you not met anyone who goes to a like regular institution who doesn't also talk too much? Like those kids exist.
I feel like the school environment beats the talk too much out of you.
It does, and it's sad. And then there's no light behind the eyes.
That's why Mom took me out. She was like, I see the light fading in my children's eyes, so I'm just gonna...
Yes, and I remember saying things to my younger friends and being like, where is the light? Show me your creativity. And they would be like, let's make TikToks. And I'd be like, no, that's not what I asked.
It is a little concerning sometimes.
Yeah, like you'd literally just deflect it. I would say something like, you can be more imaginative. It's allowed. And I would watch them shut down and be like, no, it's not. Like, I would literally watch it happen in front of me, and they would deflect the conversation.
Okay, so last question. What is the weirdest homeschool conversation you've ever had?
Hold on, I'm going to have to really
Between
think about
homeschoolers?
Between other homeschoolers, between outside homeschoolers, what is the wildest thing someone said to you and you've had?
I'm going to say this one just because I hold this up as like one of the wildest things anyone's ever said to me. It's part church, part homeschool kind of thing.
Well, they kind of tend to go together sometimes.
Yeah. I was at a friend's house with the friend who lived there and another friend. We were watching TV, and I was doing the thing I do where I just sort of share information, and they were used to that because, like, they knew me and they were also homeschooled. Yeah. And I think we were talking about lactose intolerance. I think someone was like, do you want ice cream? And I was like, yeah. And then I started talking about milk and lactose intolerance. And I was like, technically, nothing above the age of infancy is supposed to have milk. And that's why lactose intolerance happens. Oh. Because milk is specifically made with the enzymes and, like, nutrition for babies. And I was like, and you're kind of supposed to grow out of that. And I was talking about that information. And then I got this look from her mom that was just, like, perturbed. Like, she was upset about the information.
Weird.
And I was like, I don't know what that looks about. And she was like, and I was like, what's up? And she was like, well, I don't know if that can be true. And I said, okay, why? You're an adult, and I'm talking about things I heard once, and I'm regurgitating it.
Right.
So I'm willing to hear more information. And then she said, well, in the Bible, it said the land overflowed with milk and honey, so it can't possibly be bad for you. And I felt the light die in my eyes for a second. I felt my face gloss over as her daughter sort of went, yeah, that makes sense. And then the other friend looked at each other dead in the eyes and said, quietly went, how are we going to deal with what just happened? And we both said, we're not. There were no words, just sort of like, we're not going to deal with this. Back to the TV. I'm not engaging with whatever just happened here. I don't know how to I don't even know how to begin to talk about what just happened, so I'm not going to deal with this at all. I was like, anyways, VeggieTales.
Right? I really, really have to think.
I was like, I don't even know where to start with the thing you just said, so I'm not going to at all, I think. I think I'm just going to let that go forever. Except I never did, because I think about it regularly. That's my Roman Empire. Some days I'm just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I like that person a lot. But every once in a while, she would say something wild to me. And that was just sort of like the group, that was the group I was in. Sometimes they would just say something, and I would go, I'm going to leave that alone.
Right.
Because arguing with you can only bring misfortune upon myself, and I'm just moving on. There's no need. I'm just not going to have any opinions out loud. And I did not learn to have opinions out loud again until college.
Wow.
Because I stopped. I was like, I'm not going to talk about that. Because I know I don't agree with you, and I'm not. If there's one thing I will not do, it's be in an argument.
Yeah, it would have been great if I would have learned that as a child.
If-
I loved to argue with
I
adults.
love to bicker.
No.
Bicker is
I straight up
fun.
was like, debate me, fight me. I probably know more facts than you do.
Yeah, no, I like to.
At like 8 years, we talked about
Yeah.
this. We talked about this. The whole polar ice caps melting thing.
Yeah.
Me telling the teacher why that.
Yeah, no, I love to bicker, like, as a fun activity.
Yeah.
I will not argue with anyone unless I care about you enough to, well, there's only one way I know how to phrase this, so you're just going to bleep me. I was like, I only will argue with you if I care about you enough to stop you from showing in public.
There you go.
I was like, I simply cannot allow you to go outside and say that out loud. So here, I guess I have to correct you. Because generally I'll be like, that's a you problem.
Right.
That's a wild thing you just said, and I simply can't be involved.
Mind your business.
I am every day. I was like, I will mind my own business if it kills me. I was like, this has nothing to do with me, I swear to God. There are only 2 hills I will die on every once in a blue moon, and this is not it! Goodbye! Most of the wild things from other homeschoolers were like jokes, like weird inside jokes that don't make sense out of context. Like, we went to Bob Jones University every year.
Right.
For competition.
Right.
And we started calling some of the students the penguins.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Oh my gosh.
Because they had, like, specifically in the art gallery, their, like, I guess their work study was to, like, be guards or something. They were just standing around in, like, suits. I don't know. It was weird. It was strange.
Bob Jones concerns me.
It should. It was strange. And they would stand in black suits with a white shirt, and they would just walk through and, like, look at you while you were in the gallery.
I'm sorry, no.
Like, they were, like, I guess to make sure you weren't touching the art or something.
Or touching the opposite sex.
Oh, yeah, that. Yes.
Illegal.
Truly. Truly. The hand hugs that we would give our friends and then run in the opposite direction at Bob Jones.
Right, exactly.
Sprint! And also running was not allowed. But
Running was...
Also, the cars had the right of way, and if you got hit, you got a demerit.
If you just want to discuss about...
Bob
Wait.
Jones was...
The car... I'm done. I
Bob
can't.
Jones was so
I'm
strange.
not.
But we would call them
I'm not
the
even
penguins.
processing what's being
We call
said.
like the guards in their the penguins. We were like, oh god, the penguins are coming, and we would just like dodge to the next room because we didn't feel like being hovered over by
Right.
like random college students in like
Yeah.
a full suit and tie.
Oh no.
It was so strange. It was so odd. And sometimes we'd go in there because there was nothing better to do and just sort of like, let's see John the Baptist's head again, I guess. We'll see the 1,000 naked babies.
Yeah, that was
What else
also
are we
weird.
going to do here?
Because biblical angels are totally naked babies.
That was like, why do I see so
Whoever
many?
got that idea.
I can't say that out loud.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's okay.
I was like,
I'm
what's
stopping you
going
there.
on?
I'm stopping you there because I finally remembered something. And I remember why it took me so long to think of it, because it was horribly traumatic.
That's fair.
Oh my gosh. So, a huge source of socialization for us was theater.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always church. We knew a lot of people in theater, and my mom was involved in a lot of, like, community theater. So that was a really great place for diverse thought, I will say, because it means that we weren't always in an echo chamber of just Christian thinking, which was good because we were able to get, like, other experiences and hear about other perspectives, which was really important. But there was this one time that one of these leaders, like, who was supposed to be like supervising the children downstairs, this is not going where you think it is, I promise.
Look, there were keywords, and everybody went.
But like, they were supposed to be in charge, and they just kind of let the kids run free back there and do whatever, and it was kind of like Lord of the Flies, like it really was, because we were just all over the place, and some of the kids who were there were just really like, they were honestly troubled kids that needed help. And I didn't know this at the time, but there were some really, really big bullies who were doing some horrible things and saying some horrible things. And I'm just saying, there were a couple times where I think some kids left with black eyes. Like, it was not good. It was not pretty. And, like, these were people that, like, my parents trusted. So my mom was like, they're fine. There's adults down there. And basically a situation resulted in me and my brother specifically being singled out because we were homeschooled and because my mom was involved in the theater, and they were like, you just think you're better than everyone else, when that is not the case at all.
We did get a little of that.
Yeah, it was really, really unhealthy and toxic. And we wound up getting told that we were little monsters and that we were hellions. Yeah, by adults.
That's so rude.
And they legitimately locked us in another room separated from all the other kids.
The hell?
Yeah, my mom found out, and let me just tell you, it did not end pretty. Like,
I'm certain.
Yeah, it did
what
not.
What kind of nonsense
We
is
never
that?
did that again. Like, we never worked with that theater again. We were like, done, deleted. And what's funny is they closed their doors, like, just a year later. Like, it was
That's unacceptable.
Because what kind of family wants to stay with that kind of organization?
That's unacceptable.
And that's the story of how my mom started her own theater company.
That's
because she was like, I want a place that's safe for families to come and exist, where they can be themselves and we can have homeschool people, but also any people. Not just homeschool people, all the people, because we love people.
Very fine people.
Like, I don't think the kids generally outside of homeschooling ever singled me out specifically. Adults would always be like, well, what is that like? I was like, shouldn't you be in school right now? And I was like, unfortunately, I did not have a filter nor any understanding of how to phrase things. I was like, I don't go to school. And I'd just be like, and I'm like, and my mom would be like, so what she means?
We're not traditionally school.
I was like, well, what were you doing yesterday? I was like, well, I was watching TV. And they were like, and like, what actually had happened is I had done all of my work very quickly, and then started watching the Animal Planet, because I'm allowed to watch educational TV before 4 p.m. So,
you did the thing that I did.
Yeah.
We had a whole conversation one time here where I was like, we didn't do school through the summer. Like, I wasn't learning through the summer. What do you mean we're supposed to do school year round? Like, I think that's a ridiculous model. The kids are gonna... And then they were like, well, what did you do? And I told them, well, we did this, and we had this extracurricular activity, and I did a deep dive study on the Revolutionary War for fun, and they were like,
yeah, no,
that's learning.
I was like, lots of edutainment.
It was just so fun that I didn't realize it was school. Like, yeah. Because we were like, you were taught to love learning. So at the end of the day, half the things you didn't even know that you were learning.
Yeah.
So based on the conversations that we've had, how do you view the question that everybody asks homeschoolers?
Oh gosh.
But what about socialization?
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
You already know. If you've been on this channel, you know.
I was like, you're not socialized better than us. You're socialized different than us, and I'm not sure it's healthy.
Wow. Clipping that. Because facts.
Yeah. I was like, now, being around your family 110% of the time has its ups and downs.
Yes.
But, like, I very much hesitate to say that the children socializing each other with a one adult in the corner trying not to let the room devolve into chaos is any better than that.
This is the one thing that has been said over and over and over again on this entire channel. This is what we stand for. I'm being so aggressive right now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, like, but this is the truth of it. Like, this is the fact. It depends on the child and the family dynamic.
1,000%.
Like, you just can't limit it to one thing.
Because I would not have thrived in public
Neither
school.
would I. I wouldn't have done well. Classroom setting was not it for me. I had to have one-on-one. Like, but I know families whose kids needed that structure.
1,000%.
Like, and I know a family literally right now where one of the siblings is being homeschooled, and they're like literally just 2 years apart, and one of them is going to public school because the one sibling does great at school and has to have that structure and will not be able to take care of their own day at home because they don't have the discipline. They just don't. Like, and some kids really need that. And then other kids where being at home thrives, having one-on-one learning thrives. Like, being able to learn at your own pace, super important.
Which was what was important to me. That's learning the way I needed to learn things.
Yes.
Because, like, the way that whatever I remember of actual school, they would be like, here's the information. I was like, you can't just say things at me.
Right.
I need you to I need to see it, and then I need to do it. And sometimes they would just say the thing and move on. I was like, I've learned nothing. I only heard 5 words. My ADHD I can't just absorb information like that. And if you do other things in school that make it look like you're not paying attention, you get penalized for that. And I have no ability to pay attention without doing another thing.
Right, because the ADHD or the kinesthetic style of learning.
Yeah, like I have to be doing something with my hands to take in information.
Because your brain has to be preoccupied to be able to listen.
Yes.
I completely understand that. I mean, that's a very artistic thing. I was always doodling in school.
Yeah, but
and that's the other thing. Some teachers, I would hear horror stories about kids being penalized for having, doodles in their notes. And I'm like, wow, okay, there goes my entire ability to learn.
Yeah.
Put me in a school setting, I have to turn on my notebook, there's doodles in it, and I get penalized for that. Cool, I will not retain any information.
And also, a lot of teachers didn't like the way I asked questions, which in hindsight, might have been a little rude, but I was also 8. So...
Exactly.
What do you want from me?
Exactly.
I will say the teachers I did have homeschooling truly were putting up with a lot. I was talking about this yesterday for some reason. I don't remember why, but I was we were talking about math, and I was like, here's the thing. Somebody told me they didn't know why we did a thing, and I checked out immediately. That was the last time I enjoyed a moment of math.
Jordan, you were talking to me about that.
Was
in the last video, because I just edited that part.
I ended up talking to somebody else recently.
That's fair, because I literally just edited that entire part where you go on a rant about that.
But no, truly, she was like, I said, why do we do this? And she said, I don't know. I was like, do I have to do it like this? And she said, yes. And I was
only
why?
Because you specifically.
And she was like, I was like, why? And she said, I don't know. I was like, if I didn't like you, this class would be over.
Yeah, because I listened to that phrase over and over again because I was editing. To my non-homeschooled friends, the biggest thing, they'd be like, so you have no social life, so you blah blah blah. Yeah, my non-school friends were always full of questions, and the first thing I would always say was exactly what I just said. I got to learn at my own pace. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I felt like a broken record by the end of the day.
Yep.
Because I would literally be like, I love being homeschooled. I get to learn at my own pace. I love being homeschooled. I get to learn at my own pace. And there would be people who would go, blink twice if you need help. I'm like, no, sweetheart, blink twice if you need help.
Yeah, I graduated high school at 16, started college a month after I turned 17.
Because when you're homeschooled, you can do that.
Yeah. I was the stuff I didn't understand, I took a little extra time. Was science really... science... I like science, but I'm like...
Right.
Let me stare at this for a minute, because I don't know what's happening. What do you want?
Yeah. Well, I genuinely think that that's all that we have time for today.
Probably.
My mental energy is, in the toilet. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
We're out of spoons for this conversation.
We're so done. Life is being unkind today, but that's okay because we made it and we're vertical and we're alive.
Right?
If you like this video, then we would love it if you would like, share, and subscribe. That would be fantastic if you feel like it earned it. And we would just love to see you back in the future. And if you have any other questions about what it's like being a homeschool graduate,
please put it in the comments.
Please share. We would love to answer your questions. We love doing this, and it's always fun to get to talk about our experiences. And we really feel like this is stuff that people need to know about.
Yeah.
Because it's good to know that you are not alone in your experiences. Until next time.
Bye.
What was that wink? I was like...
It was very early 2000s.
No, my eye twitched. Bye, y'all.